Hello everyone, happy Thursday. Welcome to our weekly Thursday Night Live. I am your host, Stephanie McPhail, the author of Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt and the expert in helping brilliant women date up. If this is your first time coming to a live, welcome. For a lot of you, this is a weekly occurrence that you're able to come and join us for. So thank you so much for coming and congratulations for making it into the group. When you come in, make sure you say hello. I'm going to give a little bit of a heads up right away. For some reason, Facebook has decided to put me in Facebook jail. So if you later on, normally immediately after the live, I will respond to whatever questions there are. You might have to wait until tomorrow this time because as of right now, I'm in Facebook jail. It seems as though Facebook will give you the opportunity to tag people, but when you take them up on that suggestion, they cut you off of commenting. So I'm in Facebook jail, terrible me. So I'm so happy all of you are able to come on tonight. Hello. I see some of our regulars, some of our people. So come on. It's good to see you come on. I'm so happy to see all of you. So as people come on, I just want to, share, we've got some really exciting stuff going on in this group. We keep growing. We're at about 11,500 people. That's a lot because you are all sharing so much in the group and you're sharing information with your friends and inviting people. So thank you so much for doing that. I think that this group that I started, it's been a few years now. It's been so amazing to watch it grow into what it is. So, thank you to all of you who have been a part of that. And thank you to all the new people who are here as well. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Randy. Hi, Jennifer. Ooh, I get to see a lot of my inner circle clients. I love it. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. So tonight is just going to be me. I want to talk about self-sabotage. So, in tonight's live, we're going to discuss why so many of us can't take the step forward. So I've been noticing a lot that when I speak to people, there's this discomfort with actually moving forward and taking the right steps that we need to in order to make the change that we need. So I asked some questions before the live started, and I'm just going to read them back to you because I think these are some things that really resonate for people. Why do I set goals and can't seem to follow through? And if this resonates for you, just, write something to let me know that give me some likes and loves. Why do I set goals that I can't seem to follow through? Is that anybody in here? Hi, peeps. Even more of my peeps. Hi, everybody. Why do I constantly feel like a failure? Why do I try so hard? Some likes and loves. I'm sure that resonates for some people. Maybe I'm just meant to be unhappy. That was a big one for me. Why do we sabotage our success? It seems kind of counterintuitive, right? It's like so many of us say that we want to do these things and then we don't do the things that we need to do to be successful. It's a really interesting thing that we do. So, think about it. Think about, we say we want to be in a healthy relationship, but we keep staying in relationships where people treat us really badly. We say we value fidelity in a relationship, but we allow people to cheat on us. We say we're going to go to the gym and start exercising, but we order pizza, and chocolate cake and then make excuses for why we can't go to the gym. I don't know if that resonates for anybody here, but we'll say a lot of things and then we do the exact opposite things. That's something I call my clients out on all the time is we'll say, hey, I want to be successful, but then everything you're doing is to not be successful in the program or in certain things that they're looking to accomplish. So we're saying one thing, but we're doing something else. And the amount of likes and loves that I'm seeing and the amount of people that are saying that's me, it sounds like it really resonates for a lot of you. So if you're ready to jump in, dive in. I'd like to hear, you want to hear more information. At the end of this is going to be about 30 minutes. So just to give you a heads up, at the end of this, I'm going to just share with you a little bit of an offer. And then after that, I'll take 2 or 3 questions. So, stay to the end and get your questions answered. It's going to be worth it. I promise. This is not going to be a super long one. So stick around so that you can stay and ask your questions live. I'll go back and I'll answer 3. I'll give you that promise ahead of time. So one of the big reasons why we self-sabotage is the fear of failure. And, okay, I guess that for some people that might make sense. For some people, you might be like, well, that kind of doesn't make sense at all. So here's the logic behind that. That has to do with our subconscious and our conscious. So logically, you would say to yourself, okay, well, it doesn't seem like logically I want to work really hard to succeed, right? That's what we want to do. But our subconscious tends to be illogical. Our subconscious does things that doesn't make a lot of sense. The ego is going to come up with excuses. The ego is going to be like, give you excuses, procrastination, keep you from trying your hardest. Because if you don't try, you can't fail. If you don't try, you can't fail. So if you don't try hard enough, you don't put your full effort into it, then you're not going to fail. That's interesting, right? I mean, the fear of failure is if I don't try hard enough. Think about it. If you're in a relationship and, it's not maybe the best of relationships, but maybe you're really a successful person. I've always been really successful in my personal life. Well, professional life, I guess I should say. Personal life, not so much. Romantic relationships were not my forte, but I was pretty successful in my professional life. And it was really interesting how I had these two different ways of being. I could work really hard at being successful in my professional life, but in my personal life, things were just not working very well. Nothing was actually, I would try really hard, but what was happening is that I was trying the wrong things. And what it was is that I didn't want to let go. You know how like they talk about a pit bull? The pit bull will hold on tight and keep holding on, and actually their jaw locks and can't let go. It's kind of what I was doing. I mean, let's be realistic. I was like, I am going to prove that I can, work through this. I don't want to fail. I'm going to do everything so that I'm not a failure. And because I'd been successful in, going to school full time and working full time and always juggling all these things, that I wanted to prove my worth. And I kind of felt that the more I proved my worth, the more worthy I was. The more worthy I was of a healthy relationship, the more worthy I was of love. So there was this fear of failure. And the reality is that when we hold on tight like that pit bull to something that doesn't work for us, we're holding on to the wrong thing and putting our energy into the wrong thing. So that fear of failure is actually causing us to fail because we're failing at a healthy relationship. Again, we say we want a healthy relationship, but then we're holding on to a relationship that's not healthy for us. It's a relationship that we should not be in, that we should be letting that jaw go and we should be allowing it to be what it is. But when you are strong and successful, it is much more common for people like us to get sucked into these unhealthy relationships when we've had bad examples of healthy relationships before. If our self-esteem is low. Because if you took someone that was successful and had high self-esteem, they would see those bad qualities in someone and they'd be like, all right, I'm out. I'm not dealing with this. But someone like me who had confidence but had low self-esteem, I needed to try to prove that I was worthy of the relationship. Because love to me was uncomfortable. Love you had to fight for. So I was going to do everything in my power. I was going to do all the research. I was going to learn all the things so I could prove that I was not a failure. I didn't want to be a failure. And I had to come to a point in my life where I realized that I was failing myself. I was failing myself because I was not allowing myself to be the best version of me. But I was staying around because of that fear of failure. That was one of the reasons that I was giving for not leaving the unhealthy relationship. So fear of failure, number one reason why we sabotage. The next one, this is another one that you might find kind of interesting. The fear of success. This one is one of my favorite ones because this is one people really, I think, more often people might talk about the fear of failure, but they don't really talk about the fear of success. The fear of success, so subconsciously, we are terrified of the effort of what it would take to actually complete the goal that we're trying to do. Subconsciously, we're like, oh my gosh, it's going to be change. It's going to be uncomfortable. We're going to put ourselves, in really uncomfortable positions to reach these goals. So, then who am I going to be? I had a good friend of mine and he was talking to me about weight loss. He needed to lose weight. He was, getting some other issues because of his weight loss. And, he would start asking me some questions, and we were talking back and forth, and he said, the thing is that I'm the fat guy. I'm the guy that has fun, and I drink whatever I want, and I eat whatever I want. And, who am I if I'm not the fat guy? Well, in this situation, who am I if I'm not the person in shitty relationships? Who am I if I'm not the one trying to save everyone? Who am I if I'm not, crying in the middle of the night and running to get someone who is needs my help because I'm going to save them, Who am I without all of those things? Who am I without being needed? So the fear of success is also that because we don't know who we are without all of these issues, without these labels, without these things. Who am I when I take those things away? The imposter syndrome. Some of you might have heard of that. It's where we're afraid of becoming a better version of ourselves because people might see how messed up we are or how messed up we were, what we've experienced in our lives beforehand. If I become this better version of myself, then they're going to see right through me for who I really am and what I've really experienced. So we get afraid of that. And then another thing is the fear of actually not being good enough when we get to that place. So am I even going to be worth all the effort that I put into it? Am I worth it? So that starts coming in. And then throw in another layer, but who is going to want me? What friends and family are going to want to be around me? We are afraid of outgrowing the people that we know are not even healthy for us. We're afraid of becoming something different than what we are, because if we're successful in that, then what does that mean? Well, will I have more money? Will I have more freedom? Freedom can be really scary when you're used to being in survival mode. Hold on one sec. Freedom can be really scary when you're used to being in survival mode. That's one of the scariest things that I talk about with people. When we talk about suddenly not being in this toxic relationship and being able to do whatever they want, they freak out for a second. They get really quiet when they're on the phone and they're like, oh, I don't know. That feels really overwhelming. If we're successful, then we get to do whatever we want. If we get to be successful at this unhealthy, at leaving the unhealthy relationship, then we get the freedom to be who we want. And for a lot of people, that's something that they don't know what that is, because I don't know who I am without all of this. So fear of success. We sabotage because we are afraid that we won't know who we are without this label of the person fighting and trying to be needed for this unhealthy relationship. How's it going so far? You liking it? I got one more. Do we like it so far? Is this resonating for everybody? Let's give some likes and loves. I'm seeing a few come up. And I think that, these are like golden nuggets, because I think that for, again, working with clients and seeing what happens for people. And of course, in my workbook, I talk about little steps that you can take, over time to actually written out so that you know what steps you can take. To actually start gaining some self-worth, to start making you feel better about yourself, to start not being so afraid of failure or success, and start actually going into your full power. So the next one is actually the lack of self-worth. So, if you are someone, we might we might believe that we don't deserve the things that we desire, or they are not possible for people like us. That was me. I don't know about any of you. I thought that healthy relationships were not for someone like me. I was the girl who did shitty relationships. I was the one who had the police calls over and over again. In my younger years, I just wanted to be like the party girl that was having fun and was laid back, and, people could come to me and hang out with me, and everything was fun and laid back, and I didn't want anyone to worry about anything because I had it all. But my self-worth didn't believe that I deserved anything other than what I had. So what did I do? I kept creating the same exact situations. I kept getting back into these unhealthy relationships. It was really interesting because as soon as I would end a relationship, I would finally take the steps to leave this toxic relationship. And then I'd feel myself feel so good. And guess what? I'd fuck it up. No nice way of saying it. I would fuck it up. I would mess it up. I'd be like, I can't be that free. I've got to do something that's going to totally mess that up. So I would get into another relationship with someone who made me feel bad about myself and that made me feel small and made me feel not as good about myself. Even though that was uncomfortable, it was what I knew. And it's because I thought that I deserved it. My self-worth was not at a place where I could fight to become the person that I knew I could be because I had all these subconscious things going on. It was what I thought women should be. It's what I thought that I needed to be as someone who was brought up as a Presbyterian. You know, we went to church every Sunday and I thought, well, we had to take care of people. And once you got married, you stayed married. I thought that, you know, your marriage vows were sacred. So you had to do everything to help fix the other person. You know, all of these things, movies that had said like, well, relationships are hard. You have to work for it. My parents who would argue all the time and, you know, never seemed to really even like each other. And my dad even several times telling me like, don't ever get married. It's awful. You know, hearing like all these different things coming out and, you know, share with us in your, you know, type something. What were some of those negative thoughts or negative sayings that came up for you from your family members, from your friends, from television, from music? What were some of those negative thoughts that came up for you? Because if those, you hear them often enough, and you start, you know, you're already someone who has low self-worth and you start hearing all these things from the outside and you're experiencing all these things from the outside, you start to believe it to be true. You think that's real and you can't figure it out on your own. So how do you fix it? So this is one of the things, you know, and of course, as a coach, I love how we fix it because you fix it by hiring professionals. You need someone who has the awareness to have the structure and to have the actual professional support that you need. I would have never been able to figure this out on my own because my thought was, I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. I'm stuck in these toxic relationships. This is just my life. I have to survive. That was my thought process. And until I realized, hey, wait a minute, I don't know what I'm doing. And, you know, we've talked a lot about how a lot of us, we're terrible at asking for help. Go back to the beginning of this, the fear of failure. I was successful at everything that I had done when it came to, you know, my work types of scenarios. I was always successful. I knew how to get good grades and do the things that I had to do. Those things were easy for me. That was fine. I mean, it wasn't easy, but like I knew I had to do the grit. I had to do the work, all that kind of stuff. My parents had taught me that. My dad taught me that. They also taught me how to have unhealthy relationships. And so it wasn't going to be from my friends and family who were not professionals who were going to give me the right support to get out of my own head. Because what we need to do is we need to change the mindset. We need to change some of those subconscious beliefs, which for those of you who've watched this before, my husband, David Sharon, is the expert in helping people change those subconscious beliefs with something called Psych K, which is a high-speed mindset change. So cool to watch people go from questioning themselves to like a switch in one session, suddenly turning over to the other side. Amazing. I love it. And to have that ability to change those negative subconscious beliefs into more positive ones, then automatically we're coming from a different place. And a lot of us have a whole bunch of negative subconscious beliefs. The ego does some weird stuff to us, right? So all of those subconscious thoughts that we have, they're keeping us trapped. We might not even realize that we're doing it. I think I said this before. I've said this before in another live, is that I went to and this is going to go more towards the women. So this is not an offense to men, but this is something that women more commonly do. So I went to a 50 Top Women in Business event, and this kind of brings everything I just talked about as a perfect example. I went to a Women's Top 50 event, like last year, I think it was. And it was really cool because there was all these really professional women, and a woman came up. She had started off as a teacher, and she was now the CEO of some very large company. And, you know, she started sharing her story, and she said, you know, the big thing is that women don't tend to push themselves in business because they don't feel like they have the ability to do it. They don't feel like they have enough under their belt to try for that higher position. So she shares the story about a position being available for breastfeeding. And a woman comes, she sees that this position is available for breastfeeding. And she's like, I had 3 children. I breastfed them all for 2 years. I stayed up in the middle of the night to be able to breastfeed my children. It was so important to me. And I did all the things. I read all the books. But it's been a few years and I don't know if I have the ability and the full knowledge to really do it. So I'm not going to apply for the job. And then a guy sees that same exact announcement and says, my wife, she breastfed. I watched her breastfeed. I watched her get up in the middle of the night. I watched her do all of those things. I think I know all that I need. I'm going to apply for the job. Guess who gets the job? The guy with no experience, no actual experience. The woman who has the experience doesn't get the job. Well, why? Because the woman will have a fear of failure, a fear of, well, what if she's successful, but what if people think that I'm faking it? And I have low self-worth because I don't think I really deserve it. The guy, and this is just, in general, more often, women will not go for the job that they are very qualified for because they will talk themselves out of it because they think that they are not deserving of that position. More often, the men will go and try for the job. Now, of course, this isn't 100%, and, I'm sure there's a lot of outliers there, but specifically, that's one of the reasons why there's not as many CEOs, because women will talk themselves out of it. And it was really interesting because my sister, who's a lawyer and worked for really big environmental companies, she had stopped working for a long time because she was a stay-at-home mom and her husband was still a lawyer and he was doing his thing. And she said, I think I want to go back to work. And she got the possibility of getting a position as an assistant DA in Colorado. Super cool. But she started to say to herself, it's been years since I've actually been a lawyer and I don't really know if I can do it. And she started doing all those things. The fear of failure. Well, what if I don't make it? The fear of success. Well, what if I make it? And people are like, how dare you try to get this position? And, you haven't done it for years. And then the low self-worth. Well, I'm just a stay-at-home mom now. I don't really, so all those things came up. And then she said, but I read this story about the breastfeeding mom. And I said, oh my gosh, I just heard that. I said, go for the position. Go for the position. So she's now an assistant DA in Colorado and they love her. They love her. She does amazing work and great stuff. And this is the perfect position for her. Such her personality. It's so great. So, it's really, really important to build up on that. And, I'm seeing some of our clients comment. That's one of the things that we work on in our 8-week program. We work on helping people really look at all the different aspects of their life so that they start to change their negative subconscious beliefs. They start to change that low self-worth. They look at their mindset changes because they're no longer afraid of success because they start learning how important it is to be successful. And, the fear of failure, they realize that they're the ones who actually need to be successful for themselves. They don't have to try to prove to anybody else. We bring everybody back in the 8-week program to working on themselves. We're not here to make the rest of the world happy. We're here to take care of ourselves. And the really interesting thing is that when we start to speak our voice and share our passions and our love and find out who we really are without all of these crappy relationships stealing our energy, we get to actually do so much more for the world than what we were doing while we were trying to make everybody else happy. You will attract way more happy, healthy, supportive people if you are your true, authentic self. So we want to help you make sure that you throw that self-sabotage, that fear of success, let's throw it out the window and let's get the right support. And again, that's not your family or friends. That's not someone that you just met, who's not an expert, who's not where you want to be. It's people like David and us that do this every single day. So if you are interested in breaking the cycle of self-sabotage and you're looking to actually create real success in your life, you're tired of wasting all of your energy, just comment support. Comment support in the comments and I will go back and I will send you a private message. And actually, if you look in the video description, I also sent you my text. You can text me. So you can also text me support if you're looking for an appointment. We can do a 30-minute. I can give you a copy of my workbook. I can give you a copy of my book, and we'll spend 30 minutes just talking about whatever it is that you might need extra support with. We can come up with a game plan, and I can share with you the different programs that we have available so that you don't have to be stuck anymore. And I know there's a bunch of people that are saying support and some people that I know I have appointments with already. So, reach out. We can't do this by ourselves. I couldn't do it by myself. And if I would have not reached out and gotten help, I would not be here sitting in front of you right now having this conversation. I would still be in the shitty relationship. I would still be uncomfortable, sad, withdrawn, not in my full energy, in survival mode instead of thriving. And what a disservice that would be for me, but of course a disservice for you. And so I want you to be able to snap out of those things that are sabotaging you and start actually stepping into your full power. So I see a bunch of supports. I will definitely reach out to you after this live. I'll send you a private message. And if you're watching this as a replay, of course, tag my name and then write support in case I don't see it. And of course, you can always ask questions, even as the replay. Don't worry, just because you didn't get it live, you can still ask questions, and I can go back when I'm allowed back on Facebook to comment. Because those of you who missed out at the beginning, Facebook has blocked me from commenting because I tagged too many people in a post that Facebook told me to make, which is a whole other thing, but whatever. So, for those of you commenting support, I'll be sending you a private message. So just you can always click on my name and hit message, and you'll see the message that I'm sending out to you. So I promised 3 questions. So we're right about at the end. How did that go for you? Did that resonate for you? Was that helpful? I'd love to hear what stood out for you from all of this. And I'm going to just look through and see if there's any questions that anyone has. Let's see some questions. Yeah, Elsa said, very true. Also in self-evaluations where you rate your competence. Yeah, that's one too, where people are like, very often when I was a teacher, sometimes we'd ask kids to rate their grade. Like, how much work do you think you did? I used to do this with group projects. And it would be amazing that the kids who I knew for a fact had worked really, really hard on their projects, instead of giving themselves a 100, they'd give themselves like a 90. And I'd be like, why didn't you give yourself 100? You went above and beyond. You did all these great things, whatever. They're like, well, maybe I could have done better. And so it starts, from middle school, from elementary school. We start sabotaging ourselves from the beginning. We're not rating ourselves and realizing really our full potential and our full abilities. Okay. Let me just see. I'm looking for questions. Oh yeah, so Cindy says, yes, people always say everything comes easy to you. You're so lucky. Yeah, because we're good at faking it, right, Cindy? We pretend like everything is no big deal. It's all in that faking. Oh, yeah. All right. I don't see any more. Let's see if I see some more questions. I'm not thinking, I don't really see any questions. I said I was going to answer 3. Does anybody have any questions for me that I'm not seeing? I don't want to miss anybody. If you have any questions for me, now's your opportunity, because most of the time we're cutting it close in the end, but I wanted to make sure I saved time to make sure that I was able to answer questions. Sorry, just reading through, see comments. I love it. All right. Wow. No questions. I must have covered it all. Well, it's interesting. When we do this, is the sabotaging our success. It's such a common occurrence. That's why I wanted to talk about that this week. It's often we're like, well, I'm going to make the changes. I'm going to leave the relationship, but next time they treat me badly. Next time they drink too much and they throw things at me or they curse at me. The next time the cops come. The next time they call me a cunt. The next time they threaten my safety. The next time they hurt my children. The next time, and there's all of these things that we sabotage our success for because we're afraid. We're afraid of, what that's going to be. And That's okay to be afraid. We're human beings. We're afraid. We're afraid of what we don't know. And so all of those things, that we just talked about, those are the things that keep us trapped. And we don't want you to stay there. We don't want you to stay in that fear place. We don't want you to keep sabotaging your success. We want to call you out when we see you starting to say one thing and do something completely different in the 8-week program. We're going to tell you about it. We're going to tell you what you're doing that is sabotaging your success, because so many of us do it. It is so common. So, thank you all for showing up tonight. It was great hanging out with all of you. And, keep posting in the group, keep sharing, and, just one more time, if you want me to reach out to you, just, comment support in the comments. You can also text message me. The number is above, or wherever it is. It's 631-317-4027. You can text message me directly to say support, and we can set up an appointment. I have a few spots. I always leave like 2 or 3 spots open for Friday, because there's always appointments after this video. So if you want an immediate spot, then send me a text message and we can set that up for you on Friday. If not, just comment support and I will reach out to you and we can set something up for tomorrow or Monday. Thank you so much, Gia. Thank you so much, all of you, for showing up, and I will see you in the group. See you next week, everybody. Bye. Have a good weekend.